The Adonis complex is a term first described by Harrison Pope, a professor of psychiatry, and his colleagues, and refers to the growing crisis of body image obsession in men and boys. They have presented evidence showing that now more than ever, men's dissatisfaction with how they look is at an all-time high, whether it be concerns over a lack of muscle mass, height, or thinning hair. The book, The Adonis Complex, hypothesizes that the changes in the portrayal of the ideal male physique in the media and even in children's toys is a big contributing factor. They also suggest that the advances in equality between men and women could be a further contributing factor. Traditionally, men had many opportunities to define their masculinity, and they use an example in the book with women now being able to fly fighter jets and hold pretty much any position that was typically once only resigned for men. Are men now left clinging to their masculine body image to really feel that sense of masculinity? Now I want to share with you my experience with body image, and I want to talk about my failings, and I'll also be using a service, Let's Get Checked, who are sponsoring this video to measure my male hormone profile and additional measures of cardiac health. I'll be sharing my results later in this video. As you hear my story, can you relate to some of my experiences, and have you ever noticed dealings with the Adonis complex yourself? This is my experience with the Adonis complex, failing at fitness. See that? This year we're gonna emulate that. The target every day. 365 days, 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups. I've switched things up and I bought a book called Maximum Fitness. And so, yeah, I wanted to share this with you. Get stuck in. The skipping, I'm going to try and do it daily, if not 6 days a week. Here we go, guys. Today is the 21st. So I've had a couple days off. This is day one. This is day one of counting my calories and being on a Mediterranean diet. You know what, I thought we'd whip the phone out here and guys, this is me. I'm preparing my first day of doing keto. I recently started back at the gym, the first gym that I ever started to lift weights at. Something that's really cool and really kind of nostalgic. They even still have the same little barbell set that was in there when I first started coming here, when I first started hitting those free weights, doing endless bicep curl. Nice little nostalgic touch there. We're 15 years on from that first time when I went in that gym, and it really just got me thinking about the mindset I've had throughout that time. I feel like it only makes sense to start where my fitness journey began. And my first thoughts about the way I looked probably started back when I was as young as maybe 10. I was a really keen swimmer. I remember just being a bit on the chunky side. I was weighing myself and I would measure how fat I was based on when I sat on the toilet, how far my belly went over my hand when I put it like at the base of my belly. Really kind of strange, to be honest. I just mean, that was the first time I sort of thought about, how do I look? And feeling slightly self-conscious about that. I think as a result of feeling like I was a bit fatter than maybe people around me, friends, did start to make the conscious decision to try to lose weight, to lose fat. And I started taking these aerobics classes with my mum. And they worked. They worked. I significantly got fitter. I enjoyed them. And I definitely lost weight, but the main reason why I slimmed down was because I was 14 years old. I was going through puberty, and the big growth spurt, I shot up to pretty much the height I am now, like 6 foot, and I really thinned out. And now I had the opposite problem. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. I've got some results coming up towards the end of this video. Timestamps are down below. The results a little bit surprising, but I just want to quickly tell you about the service they provide. Let's Get Checked makes professional health testing really easy. You can do it from home. You order your test kits online. I chose their male hormone profile test and also an additional cholesterol test. This is how your package will arrive. Mine came the very next day, and once your sample arrives at the lab, your confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. Mine personally came 2 days later. As you can see here, I'm taking my test. It's really easy to do. They've got all the instructions and everything you need is right there. A couple of pointers though that I noticed: make sure you are nice and warm when you do this test. Give your hands a nice wash under warm water. It's going to help you fill up that collection tube a lot quicker. Let's Get Checked Laboratories are CLIA approved, CAP accredited, which is the highest ranking levels of accreditation. And for you guys, the Baldcafe viewers watching this video, there is a discount link provided. It's linked at the top of the description and in the comments section, and you can see it there on screen also. Thanks again, Let's Get Checked. Let's carry on with the video. The first time I felt like, oh, I'm too skinny now, I was on a holiday with some friends, and a friend of a friend referred to me as a stick insect. I've got these really long, sort of gangly, skinny limbs, right? I've got really long legs as opposed to my torso. And it was about this time, I want to say 15, 16, that a few of my good close friends had started working out at one of their houses. And they'd started taking these protein shakes. And I remember we went to the local GNC in Southampton. That's where they'd been going, and we started looking at all these different protein shakes, and the guy in the shop would recommend what was good. And I want to say it was called like muscle and weight gainer, muscle and weight builder or something, and I think it was GNC's own brand, and my friends absolutely swore by it. And to be fair, they did put on a lot of muscle. They did get bigger, stronger, and it was noticeable. And I noticed that they got quite a lot of positive attention for that. And I wanted some of that too. So I signed up at the local gym down the road. I went with my mum. That's kind of how I started. And I remember my routine. After a while, I started going to the gym with some of my friends. They signed up at this gym too, and we started to train together. And they were the first ones that introduced me to working out with free weights. And I remember I'd been going to the gym probably now at this point for a good sort of 3 or 4 months. And the first day after I'd used actual free weights, I was all shaking all over the place, and I was really kind of struggling. I remember being so sore the next day and thinking like, wow, okay, this is a real like marker for growth. I gotta admit, like, I did make progress, but it was noticeably slower than some of my friends. They really seemed to progress quickly, and I always struggled with that, and that was something that didn't make me feel good. Everyone's like getting massive here, and I'm tiny, But things really got serious when I went to university. I actually, in my first year, joined the rowing team, and this is when I suppose things were getting a little bit weird. Like, I was religiously going to the gym, and I would hate to drink alcohol because I would think, oh, it's going to ruin my progress in the gym, which is somewhat true. But I was drinking, but I would never felt good about drinking alcohol because of that reason, and I still don't to this day, and I think that is a big reason why. I joined the rowing team, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved the social element. I was really keen to get involved at university and meet new people, and we went out on the socials, but training was really full on. We were rowing all the time, we were running all the time, and hardly lifting any weights. I was so fearful of going back to that skinny. Bearing in mind I wasn't big at this point, but I had made progress. I had put on some size, and I was so afraid of getting skinny. I would obsess over trying to eat as much as I could. In the back of my mind, it was always like so fearful of getting small. And in the end, guys, after like 5 or 6 months, I actually just gave up on the rowing team. I quit, and I just decided that I didn't want to do that because I was just scared of getting skinny and lanky again. And look back, that was a big shame, because I think I missed out on a massive social element of my time at university. But I was still in the gym, and I was reading this blog, this website called simplyshredded.com. And I sort of became obsessed at this point with trying to maximize. In fact, this was quite a pivotal era. And what I would do is I'd read one of these articles, and I'd go straight to the bit where it said how they trained. And I would then think like, right, okay, that's the optimal way to train. I need to do that. So I'd switch my workout to whatever they were doing until a couple of weeks later when another guy had his post on Simply Shredded and said he trained a different way, and I would suddenly jump onto that. I was also influenced massively by YouTube and YouTube fitness, and I would follow a lot of guys there: Nick Wright, Matt Ogus, Physiques of Greatness, Christian Guzman, all of these guys. Oh, this guy's doing this exercise now, I need to be doing that as well. And it got kind of out of hand, and I was swapping all the time because I was obsessed with maximizing gains. Right, I wanted the results as fast as I could. I wanted to get as big as I could, and I wanted to do it naturally, and I really was spending a lot of money on supplements. I remember watching this video of Callum von Moger when he first kind of broke out into the scene. Dude, I remember watching this video over and over again, and I started to just bulk like crazy, and I was trying to keep it healthy, but I was just eating so much. I was so paranoid about losing gains all the time, and this is when I started to recognize, in fact I didn't recognize at the time, but I recognize now that what I considered to just be like really important dedication, because I needed to, because everyone was getting these crazy results and I wasn't getting as impressive results. I wasn't getting as strong, I wasn't getting as big, I never felt good like about how I really looked. I was always looking at these pictures, and I would scrutinize these pictures, and slowly along the way I picked up more and more of these habits. Back when I started, before I went to university, I would wear clothes that were like super tight to try to look bigger. It wasn't to the point where I didn't feel comfortable taking my shot off in it. In fact, I actually did. I thought I looked quite good when I was wearing those things, you know. If we were going to go away, I wouldn't go away, or I would like obsess over finding somewhere that had a gym. I remember we went on a university trip in the first year, and like everyone was just either not eating or just eating whatever was served up, and I had to go to the supermarket and buy like weird tins of fish, and like before people are getting ready to go on the bus in the morning, I was like trying to make omelets and stuff in this weird like accommodation that just wasn't convenient for that at all. Like I remember we all had a budget, obviously, and I spent like loads of my budget on a bloody frying pan just for a week away, because I needed to get my protein in. When I think back to those things, it's like, wow. And actually there was another guy on my course who was taking steroids at the time, and he looked massive, and I noticed like he got a lot of attention for that, and I didn't look like big or like I lifted weights. And if I wasn't wearing tight shirts, I'd wear shirts that like I would roll up the sleeves to try and like make my arms look bigger. And I used to really think about it a lot, and like just want to be bigger, wanted to look bigger. And it's just weird looking back. Just growing up, you know, like as I was entering university, like I just wanted to get bigger. I remember we all went swimming on this trip as well, and I felt like I was thinking, how do I look? Do I look big? And I remember being like in the water trying to sort of do like cheeky press ups to try and like get a bit of a pump, you know? Because that's what I thought was necessary. Wow, these are things that I hadn't actually planned on talking about, but there's just more and more the more I think about them. The pursuit then, it was the pursuit of getting bigger. And I was setting goals for myself, like weight goals, the size goals. And this happened until way after uni. You know, I was setting goals of like how big I wanted my arms to be, and I would take measurements. And I moved abroad, right? I moved overseas to China, and I was still heavy on the gym, really big into the gym, and I loved going to the gym there because it was really social. I would speak to a lot of the local people there, and I really enjoyed it as a part of my day, and it made me feel really good because it was often really sunny there, and you go in the gym and you have a really good workout and it's hot, and you come out and it's nice and sunny, and I'd have a little banana, and I kind of relaxed it a little bit with my diet. Actually, I didn't. I was getting supplements. I would pay like £80 shipping fee to have protein powder sent to China, and I would try and eat as much meat as I could, because the food there really wasn't conducive to like eating lots of meat and getting good substantial amounts of protein and things like that. So I was still doing that, and I was still training hard, but there were actually a lot of recognizable good points about it. And one of those things was working out with a good friend of mine, Andrew, who I was working there at the time. Do you remember the times of Wanzo gyms and coffees? We used to go, what was the name of that coffee shop we used to go to? The bakery one that was actually quite good. French one? Yeah, like later on it was actually really good.
Yeah.
Kiss Me Ya.
Kiss Me Ya.
Do you remember that?
And then there's that other one.
Oh, it was just called Takeaway Coffee. Perfect little routine, if you ask me. I used to love that. Cheeky message in the morning. Or no, actually we used to, maybe the night before, right, I'll meet you at Kiss Me Ya at 11 or something. Yeah. You know? The gym was quite good, to be fair. Quite, like it was quite a good time, you know?
Yeah. What's his name? Rambo and all that guy.
Yeah, the trainers in there, yeah.
They were funny.
Really, really good times, and I slowly kind of developed a program after speaking to a few coaches, being coached a little bit. I managed to get my diet kind of more in check. I was counting calories, but I was getting in good shape, and I was getting healthier actually. I was, because I was eating too much before and a lot of unnecessary calories, and I got really big. I got up to like 200 pounds. I was really overweight, but even I didn't see myself actually as being fat. I saw myself as getting bigger. I just looked at the scales, they were going up, and I thought, right, I'm putting on muscle here. And it was only after I saw a picture of myself when I went out on holiday, and my friend, as a joke, because I always used to be like, yeah, I'm getting big, and I used to talk about it all the time. And he bought me, this is a guy I worked with in a bar, and he bought me these really tight swimming trunks, and he called them the Daniel Craigs. And I put them on, and I took some pictures, and I looked at these pictures and I thought, wow, okay, I didn't realise things had gotten that far. You know, I thought I looked muscular, but I just got really fat. And so I trimmed down a bit, and that was a good thing. I did it gradually, no like crazy crash diets or anything like that, and I did it quite healthily, both physically and mentally. I learned a lot from that, and I took that knowledge on to when I went to China. And just as I think about, again, I mentioned the bar job. There was a gym above the bar that we worked in, and we would go either after work or sometimes before. So I used to be like, oh, I'm running out of time here, I've got to get to Subway before I start my shift, and I would cram this Subway in my mouth before I started, because I was so afraid of not eating. And sometimes if I was running low on time, I would think, oh no, I haven't done enough exercises. And as I was getting changed from my gym clothes into my work clothes, I would be like trying to do press ups and stuff on the floor. Think about it now, just like if someone walked in on me doing that sort of thing, they'd be like, what are you doing? And thinking about it now, like, it just isn't necessary. I was really like, no, I need to get these gains. I need to stay consistent. Back to the bit where I was out in China. So I'm out in China, and I was planning a trip to the States, and I got in really good shape for that. And looking back at these pictures, like, that was probably the best shape I've ever been in. And I look fantastic, to be honest. I think I look great now. I think I look really good, and I was happy, and I felt quite confident. I felt good. The sun was shining, and it was a good time. But even then, even on that trip, I was mindful of how much alcohol I was consuming, and I was still religiously going to the gym when we were on that trip. So I made sure we were staying in hotels that had access to a gym. I remember my friend, three of us, where we stayed in LA, in this like apartment, and I went to the local LA Fitness to buy a gym membership. In my second year in China, we went to Japan. I bought a gym membership while I was in Japan for like 12 days, and I was going to the gym there, local Gold's Gym. And listen, it's a good way to kind of see more of the local culture and things like that, but in my mind it was because I had to train, because I was afraid of getting small. That's the reality of it. And so I would sneak off at like 6 a.m. while my friends were sleeping, get on the train, and it was like a good half an hour journey to this local Gold's Gym that I'd signed up for. And do you know what I mean? I'm going there for like 12 days to enjoy the culture, a new country. I highly rate Japan, by the way, but there I was still needing to train, and that has continued up until very recently. Various injuries and things like that kind of forced my hand in the gym, and I lost kind of motivation in some aspects. I hit my peak with a big deadlift goal, and slowly injuries started to get more and more serious, to the point where I didn't want to take time off the gym. I didn't do necessary stretching and things like that. Gyms and things shut down here a couple of years ago. You'll know why. I stopped going to the gym, and I was just doing workouts at home. And the thing of always looking for the next best thing, always looking for a new thing, continued to plague me, and maybe it still does. But even through the last couple of years working out from home, it was like, oh my god, I need to buy gym equipment. So I bought gym equipment here in the garage, pull-up bars, barbells. I almost bought a big barbell with like massive plates, and during this time when gyms were closed, the equipment was going for thousands, and I had no problem with that. I was going to spend like £700 on a barbell set that would have originally cost you maybe 200, and I just thought, I need to get bigger, I need to get stronger, I can't stop, I need to keep going with this. I tried so many different things. I was on different calisthenics workouts on Reddit, their bodyweight routine, got onto like a Navy SEAL training program, and that was going to be the thing. I started to skip and do jump rope. That was going to be the thing that got me the results that I wanted. So many different things I was starting, different diets. That's a whole nother thing. Ketogenic diet, I would hear about that and I would jump on that. Right, this is the next best thing. Different calorie counting apps, right, got to use this is the next best thing. Warrior diet, just constantly looking for what's the next best thing, what's going to give me the results fastest, what's going to give me the best results. Always looking for more. The whole time, guys, when I think about my journey with the gym, I never really stopped to reflect on the bits that I enjoyed, the good things about it. The fact that I was even able to get up and work out, the social element of it, the fact I was just there enjoying it. I very rarely stopped to appreciate that. I've been so afraid of losing gains. I say that so simply, but there's obviously more to it than that, but that's in effect what it was. And I've had 2 years off the gym now, and I'm back in the gym and it feels great. But to be honest, like the way I look and that, it didn't really change much. I hardly did a bicep curl for 2 years, and my arms are the same size they were when I was training before. And that's not to discourage and say like, oh, you shouldn't be training or training doesn't matter. It's not what that's about at all. I think one of the first messages that I want to kind of reflect on in this video and share is really taking the effort to be grateful for, and I hate saying it like that, but reflect on just being in that moment and enjoying the process of being able to work out, and just those small things. It's what it's so really about. It's about actually doing it rather than what I'm going to get at the end of it. You know, so I had a board where I wrote down my goals of the 200 kilogram deadlift and the 16.5 inch arms, down to 180 pounds, lean with abs. And I got my deadlift and it felt great for 20 seconds, you know? And then I thought, well, I still don't have 16.5 inch arms, do I? And I think it's just interesting how it's good to have goals and it's good to have things that you aim at, but just recognizing that actually doing the thing to get to there is really the bit that is enjoyable.
A couple years ago, I thought that once I created this life for myself, I would be forever happy, you know? And I know I got the tattoo a couple years ago to remind me of that fact, that you always think there is some sort of achievement, and after that achievement, once you're on the top, you'll be happy. But that doesn't stop, because it's all about the climb, it's all about the journey. And even though I have this tattoo, I still don't live up to it, and that's sort of a sarcastic joke, but I'm trying to live up to that. But it's difficult, man. This life thing is difficult.
When you actually hit the goal, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And I was always looking for the quickest thing, the fastest thing, the best thing, when in reality, all of the things, they were all good. I didn't spend time enjoying them because I was spending so much time looking for something that that was better, or that I thought was probably better. So I didn't appreciate the thing that I was actually doing, or give time to appreciate it. And so that's the first thing. And so all of these goals that I set myself, the different diets, the skipping, the different routines, I failed all of them. Okay? But when I think about it, did I actually fail all of them? You know, my goal really shouldn't have been, oh, I can do this amazing skipping trick. And I picked up a skipping rope. I was rubbish. And I got a little bit better. And I spent evenings out in the sun with my music in, enjoying it. And I just feel like that's what I should have been thinking about and actually enjoying. And back when I was in China with Andrew, and we'd go for our coffee and we'd have a good chat, and we'd have a chat in the gym whilst working out together. That is the bit that I really enjoyed. And as a byproduct of that, I was being healthy, and it didn't need to be this obsession of like the end goal. I've got to get to that thing, and once I get it, I'm going to be so happy. And I know you probably hear this message all the time in so many different areas of your life, but as I get older, the more I reflect on these things, the more it really, really starts to make sense. And so if you take one thing from this video, go away now and just think about things that you do, things that you're working towards, and just take time to be grateful for the small things in that process, because I'm telling you, when you look back, those are the bits that you'll really, really appreciate. And as amazing as that end goal will be when you get there, you'll need another goal after you get there, because that moment when you hit the goal is very fleeting. It's also interesting, I think, to reflect on the health element of my journey. So in this bid for health and fitness, health is shown, I don't know if they have pictures on these anymore, they don't, which is interesting, but a lot of the protein tubs used to have pictures of like massive, like roided guys, and that has been kind of the depiction of health in the whole health and fitness industry. And I was obviously striving for that, but I think a lot of the things that I've done over the years, like really slamming in the calories, maybe the ketogenic diet, eating really high fat foods and not being strict enough, so actually combining them with sugary foods, which is a disaster as far as I'm aware. I'm interested to know how it has actually impacted my health. I'm doing a test for heart health because that is something that runs in the family. Okay guys, so I've just had an email from Let's Get Checked to say that my results they're in, right? My results are in. The testosterone thing, I feel pretty much the same, so I doubt there's been any change there, to be honest. Cholesterol, I've never had that tested, so I'm kind of nervous to see what that says. Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay, right, so I've got two results here. One says normal, one says abnormal, and it's not the way that I thought it was. So let's have a look at the heart checker thing. Anyway, look, it says it's all normal, so that's good, right? But what the prolactin is high. What does that mean? Testosterone, I've got a higher reading than what I had before. That's interesting. Sex hormone binding globulin, right? Free androgen index. Right, that looks high. prolactin. What does that mean? Oh my god. I will receive a clear explanation from the LGC nursing support team. That is 324 and 515. Well, this is something of an unexpected saga and not something I had planned for this video, but maybe I'll talk about it more in future videos. I suppose this shows that it could be a good idea to get this stuff checked, right? Regardless. So thank you, Let's Get Checked, for sponsoring this video and for providing me with a I can't fault the service, to be honest. So I read a book recently called The Adonis Complex, and it's a really interesting read. I'll link it down below, and it talks about body obsession, right? Body image obsessions in men and boys, and how there's varying degrees of this thing. So obviously words like body dysmorphia, muscle dysmorphia, bigorexia, they sound quite scary, and those terms are often applied to people who are, let's say, at the top, where they're so preoccupied with how they look or aspects of how they look that it's debilitating, completely controls their life. 99% of the day is thinking about it. But there's a really interesting part in this book. They talk about these secret anxieties that guys live with, and I can really kind of relate to some of these. Anyway, they ask you questions here, clues for muscle dysmorphia, right? And some of them here: do you often worry that your body isn't sufficiently lean and muscular? Have you given up social opportunities that you might have otherwise enjoyed, specifically because you needed the time to work out at the gym? Have you frequently eaten special diets such as very high protein or low fat diets, or used large amounts of protein or other food supplements to improve your muscularity? Have you spent a lot of your money on special foods or dietary supplements such as protein powders, amino acids, creatine, or other substances that are advertised to boost muscularity? And there's a few more serious ones, like do you sometimes wear heavy clothes such as baggy sweatpants or sweatshirts to cover up your body because you worry you don't look muscular enough? I don't do that, but it says here, do you deliberately choose clothes that you think will make you look more muscular? I certainly did that. Do you frequently measure your body, for example, using a tape measure to check your waist, chest, or biceps? If you see a man who is clearly more muscular than you are, do you think about it or feel envious about it for some time afterwards? And those questions really kind of opened my eyes, you know, because I would answer yes to a lot of those. And especially looking back through my journey, I've done a lot of those things, and I spent a lot of money on the supplements. I used to measure my body measurements all the time, but I thought that was kind of normal. I don't think it got to the point where it was debilitating for me, but I do remember, and I will always remember, the first time that me and my wife had a massive argument in our relationship, and it was because I went to the gym on our anniversary before we were supposed to go out for a dinner. So we went out for this sort of steak dinner, and I went to work, and then after work I wanted to get a workout in before we went out. And so it was our anniversary, and we only really spent time together in that restaurant for the evening meal, because before that I was kind of in a rush trying to get this workout in. It was the first time she kind of questioned it, and in my mind I was like, you don't understand, because you don't go to the gym and you're not dedicated at going to the gym, and I need to stick to going to the gym. I can't just not go. And it makes me sad kind of looking back on that time, but that was an interesting kind of development, I suppose. Like I said, I would have answered yes to a lot of those points, and I wonder if some of you guys might as well. If you're someone like me who it's not necessarily controlled your life, but it is influenced heavily how you think in certain situations, maybe how you've acted in certain situations, not to the point where you're taking drugs and you're lying about things, but having a significant impact on how you kind of live your life. And again, it's good to do these things. It's not inherently bad to lift weights, go to the gym, or do anything like that. But I guess just being aware and questioning your reasons why, your influences for it. And now I'm at the point where, like I said, where I'm back in that gym, and I really just enjoyed doing it. You know, going there, doing the different exercises and not feeling like I've got to cram in all these exercises, you know, feeling like, yeah, I feel like I've done enough, or I've done what I need to do to have an effective workout, and kind of leave it there and go home feeling better for it, feeling energized, feeling happy. You know, I think that's a good space to be in, rather than the element where it's controlling and it's a must do, and it's very sort of black and white, very rigid. There's really hard rules on it, on how you do things, how you go about exercising and eating. I don't think that's sustainable or healthy. So I hope this has been an interesting video, an interesting story. So many different books, so many different training programs, so many different diets, and like I said, so many different failures. So many times I tried to have this amazing transformation or this really eye-catching growth, when in reality it just wasn't about that. It just wasn't about that, and it shouldn't have been about that. But when I think about it, have I really failed? No. Did I fail? My failures at health and fitness, I don't think I really failed. But I certainly felt like it. Each time I would change a new thing and I wouldn't follow through, and I'd beat myself up about that. I'd feel bad about that. But I shouldn't have done. There was no need to. I got really caught up, didn't I? I got really caught up in trying to look a certain way, trying to achieve certain numbers in terms of like how big I was. And when I didn't meet those things, I felt bad. I didn't feel good. It didn't make me feel good. Yeah. Good. So guys, to conclude this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to talk a little bit about this book and leave you with some helpful tips that I got from it. And perhaps if you did relate to some of the things that I talked about in this video, I hope that my journey, my story kind of helped you, and also the things here can help you further. So I really agree with the book in that I think it's about time that as men, we confront the current forces at play that might be promoting a negative self-body image in us. You know, push back and don't buy into a lot of the media images that are really there to heighten your insecurity and ultimately sell products, right? You know, question it. Are you constantly being fed an ideal portrayal of masculinity, the male body image, that just isn't really obtainable naturally? It seems that now more and more men are getting a hefty dose of what women had been fed for decades, but ultimately they really start to push back on. And again, it's really important to remember that feelings of self-worth aren't built on appearance alone. You know, your masculinity isn't just defined by the way you look. And I want to finish off with a good little passage here in this book. It says it's time for men to stop getting taken in by the pervasive messages that there's something inadequate about how they look. Only with such awareness will today's men cast off the Adonis complex with all the unhappiness it has bred, and regain the comfortable acceptance of their bodies that earlier generations took for granted. So guys, I've linked that book down below if you want to know more, if you want to give it. It's really, really interesting. Like I said, if you want to give it a read, then I highly suggest you check that out. And again, I just wanted to share this. Originally this started off as me wanting to share like, oh, just my failings at how I hadn't made much progress in working out. I hadn't made much progress in the gym because I kept switching programs. But the more I was talking about it, and after reading the book related to what I do with hair loss and losing your hair and confidence and self-image, I felt like it was really important to me to be transparent in more ways than that, and look deeper. And, you know, again, this wasn't a horrible, like, debilitating thing for me, but a lot of my actions were influenced by feelings of insecurity. And I really don't think that's uncommon. Especially now, you see a lot of comments, people saying, oh, men today, they're too soft and things like that. But is that the whole story, or has there been a lot of other stuff at play here? Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed this story, this journey, and thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.